Today, we'll be looking at 3 reasons why systems engineers, pre-sales, or solution engineers fail in their roles. While it's known by many titles depending on the organization, the scope of the job is largely similar. I've managed some of the best engineers in the world and also worked with very successful engineers, but I've also seen just as many crash and burn in my 20 years in the field. Some make obvious mistakes, but you will also be surprised how many others don't realize that they are taking a step towards failure. So let's get started. Too technical? Really? But isn't being technical the key requirement? How could this be possibly an issue? Yes, being technical is somewhat a prerequisite for the role, but some systems engineers are extremely passionate about their craft. They know every bit about the technology and they can go deep into the nuts and bolts. They can also talk for days on end on a particular topic. Sometimes it seems as if they are showing off. I've had instances where the engineers just goes on rambling and talking about the product and solution and what it could potentially be. But they often forget that the key role for the systems engineer is actually to solve a customer's problem and also to sell your solution to fit the requirement. Of course, we want to be the trusted advisor to the customer, but we also have to come from a perspective of actually helping them with their problem, rather than coming across outright trying to sell them something that may or may not need. Also, with some extremely technical engineers, sometimes there is also a need to be right. Here's a pro tip. While not all customers know what they are talking about, but the age-old saying of the customer is always right still holds true for many instances. Just because you know your stuff extremely well and you want to get your point across, it may come across as arrogance. And truly, the last thing you actually want to do is to make your customers look stupid. So use your technical knowledge to your advantage. Look at the areas that they're having pain points with and weave your solution into the mix. And while you're at it, try not to sound as if you're selling something. Also, try not to go on blabbering about how the customer solution has all these problems, gaps, or issues. For all you know, they were actually the ones that put it together previously, and you have just insulted all of their hard work without knowing it. The next thing I want to talk about is teamwork and chemistry. As a systems engineering leader, I've put together countless sales and systems engineering pairings. This is not always a luxury available to all leaders, but I try to take great care in understanding the personality and also the work dynamics both from the sales and the systems engineer. For example, if you are paired with a sales rep who's extremely detailed and wants an update on everything that you do, and you are the type of systems engineer that only, update the sales team only on important milestones, then this mismatch of working dynamics can surely cause escalations along the way. Another example is a sales rep that's always wants things turned around in lightning fast speeds. But you are the type of engineer that wants to make sure the work is double checked, reconfirmed, and because of that, it takes additional time. That could also be an issue. Both these scenarios happen more often than they should. Many times, it causes a lot of stress and disagreement on both parties, and the unfortunate thing is, for most organizations, the sales team often have the upper hand. And as a result, the systems engineer is deemed not good enough. So to avoid this from happening, it is very important and great practice for the systems engineer to level set expectations with the sales rep on how best you guys can work together and tweak it along the way. Open and honest communications are key for a successful partnership. And assuming if that doesn't work, make sure you also have a conversation with your leader and see if you can be paired with somebody else. Next reason why some systems engineers often fail in their role is their inability to prioritize. This is a skill that takes some learning for those new to the role. You might have a tendency to over pivot when you start and you want to impress your sales team as much as possible. So you take on a lot of work, which is great if you're able to cope. However, you will soon realize that it's not about how much you do, but rather how much of the work you do that's actually productive. Oh, by the way, just in case you're only starting out on your journey as a systems engineer or just looking to level up your game, don't forget to check out the other videos on my playlist series, which contains nuggets of information that could potentially help you sharpen your skill set. Now back to the discussion. Another example, some sales rep, if given an opportunity, will want everything at their disposal. For them, they will want all resources to maximize their chances of landing the deal. So if they wanted an engineer to run a configuration or a solution permutation, it is not uncommon that they want the engineer to create 10 different options just for the sake of comparison. While it's easy enough to ask for 10 different configurations, It might take the engineer many hours to create every single one of it. The question is, for those 10, how many will it actually be used as realistic options? Possibly 2 or 3? So the SE needs to understand the ask and not blindly churn out 10 different combos, but instead prioritize, justify, and communicate why you should only provide 2 or 3 at best. Another common example would be product or solution presentations. They may want the engineer to present everything that you guys have available to sell, and depending on your portfolio, this could take hours to prepare. Similarly, like before, discuss and communicate on what is required, and you can prepare some backup material if it ever goes off tangent. That way, you're always prioritizing the efforts correctly. But of course, if you actually know exactly what the customer requires, it's probably best to work and justify with your sales to decide on presenting the material that is in line with the customer's requirements only. While it's easy to get sucked into the trap of just agreeing to every request from the sales team, I would strongly encourage you to be an active participant in every sales engagement. After all, it's a partnership. Hopefully, that's provided you a little insight on some common areas where the systems engineers can definitely do better at. If you'd like to see more, I'm putting together nuggets of useful information in a playlist, so feel free to have a quick look. If there are topics that you want covered, do leave me a comment as well. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one.